Good morning and welcome to our shared home, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Huntington. My name is Trudy and I will be your worship associate today. No matter what road you travel to get here, literally or spiritually, you are safe and sheltered within these walls. We often hear the words, "Home is where the heart is," and this sentiment is often true. As UUs, we place love at the center of all that we do. We welcome the outsider. We protect the persecuted. We extend our hands to those who are afraid of the ones in power. Our chalice, the symbol of hope, has been used for decades as a beacon to welcome those whose existences were challenged into shelters with open minds and open hearts. Regardless of wealth, identity, ability, or belief, you are worthy of being welcomed home. We open our doors to you. Some announcements before we light our chalice. After service today, please welcome artists Laura Serrano and Dee Harris into the gallery for the month of April. They will have an exciting opening today from 12 to 2 p.m. They will also be playing with their band Shaman. The Beltane Festival and World Labyrinth Day will return Saturday, May 2nd. The festival will begin at 10 a.m. and feature workshops, presentations, and vendors throughout the day. The worldwide Labyrinth event will begin at 1 p.m., where walkers around the globe will join forces in this mindful ritual for peace. You can also bring a donation of food, personal care items, and/or pet food for LI Cares. All donations are gratefully appreciated. As we gather together for worship this morning, being both near and far, we light our chalice as we do each week. It is a symbol of our faith. May its light be a beacon of hope for the many, those who feel lost, those who feel threat, those who feel tired, those who are uncertain. May our beacon of hope help you find home, help you feel safe, give you respite, and honor your searching mind and spirit. Please stand as you are able and join in singing hymn 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. The words will be on the screen, sorry. this time that we call Moments of the Heart, you are invited to light a candle for something deep in your heart. Today's pastoral care associate, Cindy, will join us at the candles in front and has a basket for cards and joys and concerns you'd like to be shared with the congregation. She also has blank cards and pens if you'd like to write something now. Please keep it short. Spirit of life and love, our hearts are overflowing with lamentation and longing, longing for a world with more hope and less despair, longing for more happy hearts and fewer hungry mouths, longing for a life of more connection and less isolation, longing for a brave love, a growing seed within us spreading far and wide, longing for a future of less consumption and more compassion, longing for a government that quells hate and violence rather than generating it, longing for a nation, a state, a country, a town that acknowledges its injustices and works to make them right, longing for a present with each of us doing what is ours to resist racism and all forms of systemic oppression, longing for companions to give us courage that we might be the people these times require to bring about beloved community. I received a note from Judy Cartwright that I will share. I'd like to express warmest thanks for the generosity and concern from the fellowship during my recovery after spine surgery last month. Thanks to the Care Share team led by Judy Gardner, who organized dinners, we clearly have some of the best cooks on Long Island. My spirit was also nourished by those who sent encouraging notes and called to chat, even on days when chatting was a challenge on my end. I'm forever grateful to you all. And I will read the cards. I'd like to share my own joy very quickly. I am now a full-time technology librarian. Very exciting. And for the cards, thankful for my dad's speedy recovery from his hip replacement. Condolences to UU Congregation of Shelter Rock on the passing of Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. Honoring a life lost to depression, people should not suffer so much. In this circle of care and compassion, we hold those who have shared their joys with us, for each shared joy is a form of nourishment for all of us. In this circle of care and compassion, we faithfully witness to those who have shared their sorrows with us, for each shared sorrow touches hearts, and we accept the call to lighten the burden of our friends. Please join in singing hymn 123, Spirit of Life. The words will be on the screen. To ask the children and youth to join me at the front so we can read a story. And you will notice that the seats are kind of arranged going this way in that area of the room. If you find it difficult to see the story and you want to move at this time, you're totally fine to do that too. This is called a place.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. This is called A Place to Stay, a Shelter Story. I slammed the car door and tucked Bunny Beth under my arm. I don't want to stay here, I told Mama, looking up at the tall building. I know, Mama said softly, but we're very lucky to have a place to stay. I squeezed Bunny Beth to my chest. I didn't feel lucky. This isn't a house, I whispered. You know what, Mama said? I think you're right. Looks more like a palace to me. A palace, I asked. Mama grinned. Let's go inside and see if the queen is here. Inside, we met a woman with short hair sitting in a tall swivel chair. Her name was Kelly. Mama filled out some paperwork. Then Kelly said she would show us to our room on the 3rd floor. We passed an area with some sofas and a television on one side. Next, we walked past a room full of toys and books. Oh, wow, Mama exclaimed. I can't believe we found the treasure cave. Is all of this for me? I asked. You and all the other kids. Maybe you will make some friends, said Kelly. Mama said we should visit later. Kelly took us to the room where she said we would sleep. It was very small. Dinner is on the 1st floor, she said before leaving us to unpack. We put our bags on one of the beds. Then Mama pressed on the mattress. A little squeaky, but it feels pretty soft. I frowned. That's not my bed. My bed had a fluffy pink blanket and 3 pillows just for me. This bed had a boring gray blanket and only 1 pillow. Mama replied, you're right. That's not your bed. In fact, that's not a bed at all. She kicked off her shoes and climbed onto the mattress. What are you doing? I asked. Mama took a big bounce. She took another bounce and then another. Her fingertips touched the ceiling. This isn't a bed. This is a rocket ship, sending me straight to the stars. Do you want to touch them too? Bouncing looked like fun. It took me a few tries, but I finally touched the ceiling. Mama looked back at the clock. Oh, I think it's time to go downstairs for dinner. My tummy rumbled. Yum, I smell spaghetti, Mama said. The dining room was large and full of people talking loudly. Some people stood behind a counter serving food. Others sat at tables eating. I covered my ears. This isn't a kitchen. You're right, Mama said. This isn't a kitchen, it's a banquet hall. A banquet hall, I asked. Yes, and look how many people have come from near and far to dine with us. Let's get our food and say hello, shall we? Okay, I sighed. We sat next to a woman named Alice and her 2 children, Grace and Andrew. Alice let me feed Andrew a bottle. Grace and I talked about school and found out we were reading the same book. After dinner, Mama gathered my PJs, soap, and towel so I could have a shower. I turned the water on, then ran my hand under the spray. Brr, I said. You'll just have to wait for the water to warm up before you get in, Mama replied. What? Wait, oh, that will never work, I said. And why is that, Mama asked. Because we won't find warm water here, I smiled. Really? How will we find it, Mama asked. Deep sea diving, I said. Put your diving mask on. We swam to the right, glug. We swam to the left, glug, glug. Over here, I shouted. The water was just right. After my shower, I climbed into my rocket ship and snuggled with Bunny Beth. Mama, this is the most comfortable rocket ship I have ever slept in, I yawned. I think so too, Mama whispered, kissing me on the cheek. Good night, sweetheart. Good night, Mama, I whispered back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we were off to sleep.
Hi, everyone. And to the children, thank you for listening to their story. I know we talk about something serious, but also something very important. Sometimes people go through difficult times, hard times. Sometimes families don't have a place to live for a little while, or they might have stayed in a shelter, just like you saw in the story. That doesn't mean that they did anything wrong. It just means they need a little extra help. And sometimes you might see this in your own school. You might notice a classmate wearing the same clothes for 2 or even 3 consecutive days. Or maybe their clothes are not always clean. Or maybe they seem a little tired or a little quiet. When you see that, I want you to remember something very important. That child is just like you. They have feelings, hopes, and dreams just like you. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can choose to laugh, or you can choose to be kind. And kindness can look like just saying hello, sitting next to them, sharing school supplies if they don't have one, or just being a friend. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can mean everything to someone. You don't need to fix your problem. You just need to care. Because when we are kind to each other, we help make the world feel a little safer, a little warmer, and a little more like home. Thank you for being kind and for being the kind of people who make others feel like they belong.
We'll now sing the children to their classrooms.
Housing has risen dramatically over the past few years, helping drive levels of inflation not seen in decades. One key factor is that in many places, building has not kept up with demand. The suburban counties of Long Island, east of New York City, lag behind the nation. They have built less housing over the past decade than almost any comparable area in the country. After decades of fights, there are over affordable housing. Paul Salmon reports on efforts to push for more development.
A 14-acre eyesore in Huntington, Long Island, obtained by a local nonprofit to build housing.
Botanical Court, 146 units of affordable housing.
Right now it looks like scrubland, no?
Yes, right now that's what it is, and it's been like this for 43 years.
You heard right, 43 years. Pilar Moya Mancera runs Housing Help, the nonprofit which set out to build here when Jimmy Carter was president. Legal opposition and approval delays have blocked it through Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden. Meanwhile,
the cost of housing on Long Island has significantly increased year after year after year, even for a young professional, because there's hardly any supply of rental housing. Right over there, you can see the sign that bus drivers are needed. And this is all throughout Long Island, not just here.
though battles over affordable housing are a national commonplace, the counties that make up Long Island have a higher percentage of detached single-family homes than almost any large county in the country.
Where did you live?
So I lived on the second floor.
How much did it cost?
It was around $3,000 a month.
For how big an apartment?
For a one-bedroom apartment.
For young folks who grew up here and wanted to stay, like 27-year-old Hunter Gross, buying was a pipe dream, renting a nightmare.
You couldn't afford it anymore.
No, unfortunately I couldn't. You go have a good public high school, you go to a good university, you get a good paying job, yet the market rate apartments in the town of Huntington are pricing out young professionals who are making upwards of $100,000.
Where has the opposition come from?
So I would say a large part of the opposition are the NIMBYs in the town of Huntington and across Long Island, and these are people who don't want affordable housing in their backyard.
The NIMBYs, the not-in-my-backyarders, determined to preserve the quiet suburb they moved to and make their resistance heard.
It is not just an issue of affordable housing. Even if it was exclusive housing, there are issues of density, traffic, and schools.
We have to talk about making it affordable for everybody. When this gets built and there's 146 units, that's great for the 146 people that are going to live there, but what about everybody?
Hector Gavia, lifelong local resident and real estate broker.
Developers like to build, and if they could put more people in the same space, they're gonna want to do that. And that definitely creates more high density, more people, and it definitely creates more congestion and more traffic.
But mainly, insists Gavia, it's government subsidies to developers and lower-income residents that taxpayers will ultimately pay for that drive his opposition to projects like Matinacock Court.
We don't have an affordability problem. What we really have is a tax problem. And we have some of the highest property taxes on Long Island. So all this is doing is just contributing to that. I'm okay with building any building as long as it doesn't cause taxpayers to suffer more in having to subsidize, because we're already suffering enough here by continuing to pay all these taxes.
Moya Mancera, though, thinks Long Islanders have long had a problem that precedes taxes.
Let's tell it for what it is. We do have a history of housing segregation, and there was a lot of fear, not only here, but all throughout Long Island.
Levittown, a community designed for modern living.
It's fear with a history. In the 1940s, farms across the island were being turned into neighborhoods. The iconic community of Levittown was the model. Single-family homes built as a community that GIs returning from World War II could afford. People of color explicitly kept out. More recently, after a Newsday hidden camera investigation, New York State cited 3 real estate brokerages for discriminating against homebuyers of color. No surprise to Pilar Moya Mancera, who immigrated from Peru and eventually settled on Long Island in 1996.
I moved to a white upscale community. Within days that I moved into my house, I got a message on my door saying that I don't belong here, that I need to move out. I refused to move out. They left a second note saying that they were going to burn down my house.
No.
But I got a third note that they were going to kill me. When I received the third note, I was so pregnant, and I said, I'm not going to put the life of my baby at risk. So I told my neighbors, I'm moving out.
But enough convinced her to stay, even volunteered to keep an eye on her house, and she became an affordable housing activist, who finally sees more Long Island neighbors coming around now that they're aging as she is.
Now I don't have to go from being a helicopter mom to being an airplane grandmother. There is a place for my grandchildren. There is a place for my adult children to move in so they can live in my basement, right? A place for me to live for when I'm a senior citizen.
But just as important may be the cost to Long Island's economy. Ann Shabunko Moore employs 82 people making parts for the military on Long Island, says she could hire 10 more, has even lured employees from other states.
I paid their rent for a year, and then it was on them to find their own place, and
Year here on you, you're paying the rent, and then?
went back. It was the sticker shock of the cost of living to buy a house. Because understand, even renting a place here is upwards of $3,500 a month.
So the CEO has a message for neighbors bemoaning density and taxes.
You all taxpayers are benefiting from my employees working hard, right? The number of employees I hire, the number of employees that are getting paychecks, buying food at all these stores, right? I'm your economic impact that's making this region successful. And I'm telling you as a business owner, my people can't afford to buy a house, right? They are going to leave. It's hard enough to compete for talent. Now I have to find someone talented and able to afford housing.
In fact, she's so desperate, she's looking for help from above.
And I'm looking at my roof, right, a 57,000 square foot building, wondering, like, obviously there's structural engineering issues and sewer issues, but I'm thinking the footprint of this building, how many apartments can I put up there? Right?
Come on, seriously?
Come on, right? I'm thinking
Apartments right up there.
I could, why not? Can I put a second floor on here where I can put 20 of my employees right on top?
Wow.
We got to do something. We got to find square footage somewhere.
Back at Matinacock, I asked the gas station owner across the street about the opposition.
Yeah, it used to be a lot. Now, I don't see too many people anymore against this project.
Because they need the workers.
Yes, and also they understand about how expensive of living in Long Island.
For the moment, the weeds still rule. But by early next year, shovels will uproot them, and 146 units of affordable housing will rise here. Yes, to Moya Mancera and others, 43 years late, but better than never. For the PBS NewsHour, Paul Salman on Long Island.
Affordable housing, a problem, a problem all across the country.
So I'm here with Reba Siniscalchi, longtime former member of our fellowship, and was a leader in the affordable housing movement in Huntington, and was a leader in Housing Help. So welcome back, Reba. Good to see you.
Thank you, Jim. Good to see you. I know it's been a while. I'm wondering how I can help you explain the history of Matinacock Court.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you first, is just what's your reaction after seeing that? That probably brought back some old memories, huh?
Well, it certainly did, because for the majority of the time that I was with Housing Help, which was almost 20 years, it was a constant battle against the community to get the zoning and then the money to build this. And everybody agreed, yes, we need more housing. Yes, we need affordable housing. Not in my backyard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So it was a challenge.
So where did those challenges come from? Was it from government? Was it from just local residents? Who put up most of the barriers?
I would say that my most difficult time is with the town, because knowing the players and knowing how they speak so appropriately about affordable housing in the town of Huntington, but when it comes time to actually do something, pass the zoning change, supply some money, anything, never happened.
Yeah.
They chickened out, by my reckoning. Mm-hmm. They chickened out. Rather than do the right thing, they did the easy thing.
Yep. Yep. So you were not the only fellowship member involved in this, right? Who got you involved way back then?
Oh, way back then, some of you may remember Frank McQuaid.
Mm-hmm.
He apparently was on the board for quite a few years before I joined the fellowship. But he was getting older and he was looking to take a step back from some things and asked me to step in.
Mm-hmm.
I was flattered because this was my first opportunity to actually do something positive in the town of Huntington for affordable housing.
Mm-hmm. And were there others as well, some other members of the congregation that were involved?
Yes. Before I joined, there was a member, Bob Ralph.
Right.
Okay. Bob Ralph was one of the original founding members of Housing Help. And they had a really rough time in the beginning because they didn't even have a place to meet. They didn't have an office. They didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So it all grew from the need in the town of Huntington.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I know there were many court cases over the years, and they went all the way to the Supreme Court, right?
That's correct.
And what was the case about, and what was the final finding?
Well, the case was brought against the town of Huntington because they had refused to rezone the property on the corner there for multifamily housing. And there, at that time, their position was the only place to put affordable housing was in Huntington Station.
Mm-hmm.
They would not zone anywhere else for it. That was their position, and they were not budging.
Right.
So we had to, unfortunately, take them to court, and it went, as you say, all the way up through the Supreme Court, where we were awarded the win. We were also, unfortunately, not awarded any money. But we did get the zoning changed. That was the first big hurdle.
Yeah.
And because of that, we actually became a little more active in the community and became a little more visible in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, affordable housing, as we've said, you were working on it 40 years ago, but if anything, the need for it's gotten even greater now, and it's really, I think they've tried some rebranding, calling it workforce housing, because it's our kids who grew up here, went to high school here, might have gone away to college, would love to come back and live on Long Island and just can't afford it. And yet still, it gets fought over and over again. Pilar is here, and she'll talk in a little bit just about what resistance we still had and how we finally overcame that. But it really, the beginning of that work goes all the way back to when you took it on, and we're forever grateful for that. It really, the development is beautiful. It's folks are moving in now, and it's really, really, really lovely. Is there anything else you want to add that we haven't chatted about?
Well, you brought to mind when you said workforce housing. When I was working with the town to find more ways to provide affordable housing, that was one of the options we looked at. And of course, that was only going to be around the train station.
Mm-hmm.
But it was going to be walkable units to the train station, affordable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that ever happened, did it?
Actually, it did. There is a development that's right there on the road there that runs perpendicular to 110. Not many units, but that was built a while ago. Lottery for it, very few people who a small percentage got it because so many applied. But yeah, that's in there too. Yeah.
Well, before I left, working with the town, we also came up with the idea of adding apartments over warehouses and factories as an option, because land is very scarce. But let's face it, the roof of a one-story building is wonderful square footage.
Sure.
Okay. Another idea was to allow the tiny homes in people's backyards for their parents or their kids, or something along those lines, where they would be close but have their own privacy.
Yep.
That was another option that we brought to the town. Since I left, I have no idea if they've done anything more.
That is still being fought very strongly. They're called now ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, and folks have been pressing for that, and they have been fought tooth and nail by the same NIMBY crowd that was fighting Matinecock Court years and years ago.
Yes.
So the work still continues, and the challenge is definitely still there.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad because the Housing Help was founded back in the early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them, 50, 60 years to get a shovel in the ground.
Yep. Well, we've got Pilar here. She's going to talk in person a little bit more about how Matinecock got done, and she brought it over the finish line, and then about the current and future challenges for affordable housing. Reba, thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it, and I know there are a lot of folks in the audience who seeing you brought back some good memories.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that thought.
Right.
Thank you, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Pilar Moya Mancera is a lifelong champion of housing, equity, social justice, disability inclusion, and immigrant rights. As Executive Director of Housing Help Incorporated, a HUD certified nonprofit based in Greenlawn, she has transformed the organization into a regional powerhouse, advancing affordable housing, financial literacy, eviction, and foreclosure prevention services across Long Island. Under Pilar's leadership, Housing Help Incorporated has increased its operating budget by nearly 700%, reflecting the agency's expanded reach and measurable impact. Pilar also spearheaded the opening of new offices in Central Islip and Riverhead, ensuring that vital services are accessible to residents across western and eastern Suffolk County. Pilar is the founder of Latinos Unidos de Long Island, a grassroots coalition dedicated to amplifying Latino voices, defending civil rights, and building community power. She has been a fearless advocate during times of heightened immigration enforcement, organizing Know Your Rights trainings, mobilizing public advocacy, and defending vulnerable families from injustice and discrimination. A powerful voice in the fight for housing equity, Pilar has led regional efforts to legalize and promote accessory dwelling units, ADUs, as a practical and sustainable way to increase affordable housing stock. She was instrumental in the long overdue completion of Matinecock Court, an affordable multifamily housing project in East Northport that took over 45 years to realize. Her efforts helped overcome deeply entrenched resistance and set a precedent for fair housing on Long Island. It is our privilege to have Pilar back at the fellowship.
I'm about to tear. Thank you for such a kind introduction. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. I am so happy to be here today, so happy to see so many faces of people that I haven't seen in a while. Helen, Steve, one of my bosses is here. A board member, Roger Weaven, he's a board member of Housing Help, so, and I'm sure there are more. So I'm Pilar. I'm the executive director of a tiny but mighty agency called Housing Help, Inc. I want to begin by acknowledging the beautiful and important story the children heard earlier today. That story reminds us of something very real, that homeless can happen for many different reasons. A lost job, an unexpected expense, a natural disaster, or an unsafe home. And it also reminds us that shelters are not just buildings. They are places of safety, support, and dignity. Today, I want to build on that message and talk about housing not just as policy, but as a moral issue. Because how we house people reflects how we value people. Housing Help is a HUD-certified nonprofit that has been serving Long Island for, as a matter of fact, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. We provide free housing counseling services in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. I am happy to report less than a month ago, we opened our first location in Nassau County in Hempstead. Every day, we work with individuals and families who are facing foreclosure, families who are trying to buy their first home, families struggling financially, families that just cannot afford rent, or simply trying to understand their rights as a tenant. Our goal is simple but powerful: to help people access and keep safe, stable, and affordable housing. At the center of housing is something deeper than just policy. It is love. Our work is grounded in values: justice, equity, and interdependence. And the truth is, housing is where these values either show up in real life or where they fail. We're gonna show a video now.
And I just want to make sure that there will be no migrants, pedophiles, or criminals moving in, because that's what I'm afraid of. I've been told, I kind of heard that this is who's moving in. So I just want to be sure that we're not going to be moving in pedophiles and undesirables. That's what I've been told.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blum.
I would like to reclaim my time because people have been running over. I just
No,
want to say Harlem, Brownsville,
please.
and the complexion of the
No, we're not reclaiming time.
All I wanted to say.
Cheryl, please.
This is the UN wanting to legalize consensual sex for 9-year-olds. Yes, 9-year-olds. And this is why they're teaching sex education to kindergartners.
And address the
I
comments.
am addressing it, because what's going to happen is we're going to have pedophiles coming into these basements. Hello, there's registries for pedophiles.
And everyone else. I cannot understand what's happening to my country. I'm very sad to say it, but the way I see New York going, I'd get the hell out of here. It's just because I have a daughter who's a teacher at South Huntington, and you know her, and she works her ass off over there, teaching special ed. But please, I can't get it across to you. We've got to improve this town, this county, this state, and this good old United States the way I knew it and fought for. We got to bring this country, this county, this state, we got to bring it back, or we're going to lose it. We're going to be speaking Chinese, and I fought.
That was from 2023 at town board meeting for ADUs here in Huntington. What you just saw reflects something very important. Policy shapes who belongs. Resistance to housing change is not new. We have seen this before again and again, right? You saw about Mechanical Corps, Bob Ralph. Housing Help was created 60 years ago. 60 years ago, Bob Ralph and the founders of Housing Help got together because they saw the need for affordable housing, right? We see this. We saw the need 60 years ago, and we continue to see it again and again. And meaningful change has always required one thing: courage. Courage to push, to continue pushing forwards, right? There's one thing I want to add about maternal control, Jim, I'm going to go out of a script, is that sometimes I hear people, was it worth it? 46, 47 years to bring maternal control to fruition. My answer is absolutely. Not only because we created those units, but because we persevere and we went to the US Supreme Court. That case law has been used to develop other multifamily affordable housing all throughout the state of New York, through the country, right? When we say the word home, for many of us, we think about safety, stability, dignity, and belonging. But for many families today, home looks very different. It means overcrowding, fear, uncertainty. And for the most vulnerable among us, home feels unsafe. Same word, but two completely different realities. What we heard in the children's story is real life for many families. And for too many, home becomes temporary, uncertain, or out of reach. But there is also those vulnerable immigrants who don't have access to shelter. What is home to them? Living in the car? If it's in the summer, camping out in one park on the East End? For the most vulnerable among us, not even shelter is available. We often hear, oh, the system is broken. The system is not broken. The system was created to help some and to fail others. The system is working the way it was created for. So we have to ask ourselves, do our systems reflect our values? Who is truly welcome in your home, in your backyard, in your town, in your county? And who is being left out, right? Because housing policy is not neutral. It determines who has stability and who does not. In our work across Long Island, we are seeing all throughout Nassau and Suffolk County, Eastern Suffolk, Western Suffolk, overcrowding housing, families doubling up, tripling up, 2-3 generations living in the same home, seniors at risk of losing their homes, working families who simply cannot keep up. People are not failing. They are being priced out of stability. And I want to share an experience. I was in my Hempstead office 2 or 3 weeks ago. I did a short presentation for a group of at least between 40 and 50 males that went to take an OSHA class. Many of them have a record, a criminal record, right? And as part of their paroles, they need to be able to find housing and they need to be able to find jobs. And what I heard from them is, nobody wants to rent to us. Nobody wants to give us a second chance. They want to do the right thing, but the jobs are just not there for them. And neither is the housing. So let's think about these systems, right? How it affects everyone, everyone. Let's talk about the impact on children. That impact is very profound. We see from our work interrupted education, right? Because when tenants have to move every 12 months or every 2 years, their children are changing schools, right? All the time. Emotional stress. We see long-term instability. We see housing instability doesn't just affect today. It shapes their future. Jim, excuse me, I'm gonna go off script here. At Housing Help every summer, we welcome interns. And we welcome interns who have now our college students, families that we have worked in the past. And when I asked my interns, when I asked them, why are you interested in working in housing? They say, because Pilar, growing up, Section 8 was not available to us. Growing up, we had to move from one place or another. And I say, how do you handle that? And they will say, we just didn't make friends. Why? Because we were constantly moving. We didn't know it will be jumping from the Brentwood School District to the Bayshore School District, or jumping from the South Huntington School District to the Huntington School District. Is that right? Is that fair? Luckily for us, the kids that I'm working with, they are all college students. Some that work for me are college graduates now. But not everybody is able to overcome that. Mechanical core. Mechanical core is a powerful example of what persistence can achieve. Yes, this project took decades. Decades of advocacy, decades of resistance, decades of people constantly saying no to affordable housing. And today, families are finally moving in. And I want to share with you, and Jim, I'm going off script again. Sorry. Jim is going to be like, blah. Okay, sorry. So yesterday, we held a very private, welcoming event to the residents of Mechanical Core, okay? And I finally got to meet my neighbors because our office has moved there, and I was so happy to meet them. Happy to see the smiles on the faces of the children. There were two residents that impacted me the most. One was a couple, a gay couple, one of them disabled, right? And he came to me and he says, Pilar, when we wanted to apply for Mechanical Core, everybody said, no, you'll never get it, it's impossible, you'll never find affordable housing. But he still called Housing Help. We were able to help him with the application. And luckily for him and his husband, they got the lottery. They're both seniors. And he came with tears in his eyes, being so grateful to be able to age in Mechanical Core, to not having to move. The other family that also impressed me was a mom, a single mom of 4 kids, who 3 or 4 years ago had lost her home to foreclosure. And in the process, she also got a divorce. She used up all her money to try to get housing for her kids. She ended up even being at a hotel at some point, until she got the lottery, and she was one of the first residents that moved in this past December. This shows us something important. When communities choose action over fear, change is possible, right? At Mechanical Core, we have 8 units for people for the disabled. We have units for 4 or 5 units for veterans. And let me tell you, yesterday I met one of the veterans there. And I thought about it, like, we send them out to defend our homeland, and then they come back. And then do you know that the largest homeless populations that we have are veterans, right? But anyway, I'm back. The lesson is simple. The need was never the issue. Action was the issue. Action was the issue for 16 years. And thanks to Bob Ralph and the other founders of Housing Help, who never gave up, and we were able to bring this project to fruition. Today, we are having the same conversations, just like we did 60 years ago, about accessory dwelling units, ADUs, legal apartments. Let's be clear. ADUs are not about overcrowding. ADUs are about safe, regulated housing. It's about keeping families together, helping homeowners legally rent out an apartment so that they can get an income to be able to pay their mortgages. It can help a senior citizen to be able to pay their property taxes. And also ADUs are about preventing displacement. ADUs are not the problem. They are part of the solution. And some people will say, well, this is about saying yes to ADUs or saying no to ADUs. No. This is about saying yes to safe housing. This is about saying no to unsafe housing. At Housing Help, we turn values into actions every day, whether through foreclosure prevention, right? And just a quick example, this year, for the very first time, never happened, never seen this before, but this year for the first time, I had a homeowner who had fallen behind 1 month on their mortgage. And I said, what happened? He says, Pilar, I've been trying to make my mortgage payments, but I haven't paid my electricity. I've been trying to put oil, because you know this winter was a very, very cold winter. And the homeowner got a disconnection notice. So in order to avoid having the electricity shut down, he had to use that money that he had put aside for the mortgage to pay electricity. We've never seen that before. This is the first time. We turn values into action. What other actions? Through tenant protections, through housing stability work. One of my many dreams came true 3 years ago when finally I was able to put together housing counselings with case management all under the same room, under the same roof. We have a program called the Family Support Project. What we identified before is that sometimes housing counselors and the case managers are not communicating. We are all super busy. And I figured, let's have them all under the same roof. And guess what? It worked, and it worked really, really great. One of our FSP families, I'm not gonna give them names, we work with these families since COVID. They had to move several times. This was a mom and a dad and 6 children since COVID. The oldest of the children, for those of you who know, and Steve, you probably remember, during COVID, we were out distributing food at St. Hugh of Lincoln on Huntington Station for several months. You guys remember that. Well, one of that volunteer that always showed up there, it was this family oldest son. And we've been working with them for years. We helped them apply for Botanical Corps, and they got the lottery, and they move in. They move in, I believe it was in January of this year. That was life-changing. To get a 3-bedroom apartment, paying $2,040 a month, that changed their lives. I have known these parents for many years. And just last week or 2 weeks ago, you probably saw on the news that a man has suffered a heart attack while on Deer Park Avenue. That is the father. That's the family that we work with. But you know, the family is gonna be okay because they have stable housing at Botanical Corps. We still have major challenges. And we still need to change the rhetoric. I'm sorry. As you can tell, English is my second language. we need to stop demonizing tenants, right? If we work through certain neighborhoods, we are like, there are too many vehicles outside, overcrowding housing, right? And some people just blame the tenants, right? What about enforcing the rules to the landlords to prevent this, right? So we still see major challenges. A housing shortage that I've never seen before, and I've been doing this for decades. An affordable crisis, and an ongoing community resistance. These are not just policy issues, they are moral challenges. So what do we do next? We need to expand access. We strengthened advocacy at all levels of government, town, county, state. 2 or 3 months ago, I was actually in Washington to advocate for more housing choice vouchers assistance here for Long Island, for New York State. We need to continue working hard to prevent displacement. And how do we do this? We do this together. We need to continue working together because this work requires courage and partnership. This is not just the work of nonprofits or governments. This is a shared responsibility. I call it the 3 C's, right? Community, compassion, and courage to act. We all have a role to play now and today. When we protect housing, we protect dignity. When we protect housing, we protect stability. When we protect housing, we protect belonging. And when we do that, we begin to truly live our values. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here today. Please stay connected with us and our work at Housing Help. Follow us on our social media. And if you or someone you know needs help, please have them reach out to Housing Help. We are going to have a table in the social room. I came in with the most devoted Housing Help volunteer, my husband Henry, so he's going to be at the table there. And thank you for the opportunity. Muchas gracias.
Each week, we receive an offering that is split between the fellowship and a local nonprofit organization. This month's recipient are Book Fairies, and I'd like to welcome Renee Sussman to give us some insight on that.
I'm going to give you some magic words. Thank you and please. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for donating to us. And please come out and join us. I have pamphlets. This is my first time I've ever been at UU, or whatever, UUF. Oh, there it is. You read. UUFH. So I could talk, but I'm not going to. The main point is one person does make a difference. Be that person. I'm a retired elementary school librarian. They sent me because I like to talk. And I'm a volunteer. In 2012, a woman on Long Island said she had a lot of extra books and she couldn't throw them away. It is a crime to throw books away. So out of her garage, she started giving them to under-resourced schools. And now, 12, 14 years later, we recently distributed our 6 millionth book. Okay, I have not touched every single one, but I've touched a lot of them. We take the books in, and the cool thing is, when I got involved, I didn't know a lot about book fairies. They have a great reputation, but what it is we take new and gently used books and upcycle it. As a librarian, I couldn't imagine people not having books. I mean, they're my children. And how could you not? But a lot of people don't, as you just heard. You have to pay for electricity, food, clothing, shelter. Books come after. Well, if you don't have it, you need it. We not only give to what's called Title I schools, which are government certified, under-resourced, but if we can't use them locally, we send them into jails. We send them to shelters. We put them in the train stations. And then there's some books that are really old. We send them overseas. Do you know that almost every country teaches English? We're not real good at languages here. Me too. We ship overseas, and a very few books we throw out. But we don't even throw them out. We pay to have them recycled. Now, not only do we do all that, but as the parent of special needs adults, the people who distribute them are special needs adults, and they come in a van, and they do that as a community service. This is a win-win-win organization, and you can see I'm very passionate about it. I'm going to keep this short and end with the 2 phrases. Thank you and please. Thank you for everything you do. Please consider volunteering. We're fun. We're a fun group. We hang out, we go to lunch, we schmooze. They have become my people. So please give of yourself. We like money too. It helps. And thank you.
And if you didn't give in the basket, you can also give electronically through Realm. You can scan the QR code on the screen or text UUFH to 73256. Okay. All right. As we extinguish this chalice flame, may the light, warmth of its light remain within us, guiding our steps and our hearts. Let us carry forward the strength of this community, the courage to speak truth, and the hope that transformation is possible. In each breath we take, may we remember that the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls. Go in peace with the light of this gathering to illuminate your way. Please remain in your seats while Dylan plays the postlude, which will conclude our service.